Good morning, Evertonians. Welcome to Dockside Live and Hill Dickinson Stadium for an all-Premier League clash in the FA Cup third round. Our visitors today are Sunderland, who after a blistering start to the season have faltered a little bit in recent weeks with only one win in their last 8 games. However, we're not looking so good ourselves in recent form. After picking up a 1-1 draw away to Sunderland, we went on a really good run of form. 4 wins in 5 games, but since then, have only won 1 in our last 6. So I think it's fair to say that both teams will be wishing that they were one of the 12 Premier League teams, or actually playing against lower league opposition, not one of the 4 matchups, Prem versus Prem, but a good chance for us to get our season back on track and start picking up them wins and go on a nice cup run, because everyone loves a good cup run. I am joined in the studio today for the first time in Dockside Live history by 2 people. We are joined once again by Alan Stubbs, making a return to the show. Welcome again, Alan. And we have got a world champion boxer on the show. We'll be talking to Alan and Jazza Dickens in just a minute. But first, let me tell you guys, we are Dockside Live. We are live on YouTube and across all of Everton's digital platforms for the pre-match show. And then we go exclusive for the season ticket holders, the premium ticket holders, and the Forever Blue Plus members. So if you want some exclusive live commentary, and if you want to see me and Alan break down at half-time, full-time, and hopefully not extra time and penalties, because we will have already won, make sure you get signed up there. But before we jump into the studio and start dissecting this fixture, let's run you through some team news, as we got lots of changes, some enforced, some just a little bit of cup rotation. One man who is not getting rotated for the FA Cup is the one and only Jordan Pickford, Everton and England's #1. We return to the back line. That was the back line last time Michael Keane was out, with Nathan Patterson coming in at right back, Tarkovsky captaining the side, as always in the absence of Seamus Coleman, and Jake O'Brien moving to his preferred central defence position, and Mikolenko rounding off the back 4. No changes there from the last time Keane was out, but in midfield next to James Garner today, we have got Merlin Roll. Timur Igbunam not even on the bench today, unfortunately, so Roll looking to make an impact. Dibbling is back in the starting 11 at right mid after missing out in the last game after a couple of good runs. Harrison Armstrong, back-to-back starts for Everton. McNeil back on his favoured left mid position. And our #9, Beto, gets a run out up front today. Alan, let's just jump straight in, and before we talk up to Jazza about his World Championship, and look at that beautiful belt that we've got sat there in the studio. First impressions on the team, what are you thinking about the changes?
Well, I think we are more or less down to bare bones now, you know, and I think with the suspensions that happened during the week, it's really put the highlights on terms of the size of the squad, and I think with us being in the FA Cup, I think David Moyes has already stressed that he wants to have a good cup run, but also he needs to make sure that he protects 1 or 2 as well. And I know his options aren't aplenty, but I'm actually quite happy with the team today, because I think there's a real blend of opportunities for ones who have maybe not played as much as what they would have liked, but also there's a experience there as well. I like the fact that, you know, he's kept that back 4. Yeah. I obviously think he's limited to what he could play there, but if I was going to pick a back 4 for this game, realistically, I would have thought that was probably something similar. And then a real good opportunity for Raul, Dibbling, you know, to just show us why they're here. Yeah. You know, it's been difficult for Dibbling. I think he's come with a big price tag. We've seen glimpses. I think we want to see more glimpses now. Yeah. You know, and I think it's an opportunity for them, and it's, you know, we're at home. We're at home. You know, it's a great opportunity for us to progress into the next round. I'd love to see a cup run this season.
100%.
I'd love to see, and you know, you get through this round hopefully, and then we can start to get injuries, maybe back suspensions, players who are away on AFCON. You know, Jared Branthwaite's close to coming back as well, which is a huge plus. You know, so suddenly, before you get through this round, and suddenly things start to look
crest the hill
a bit
and
better,
it looks a bit brighter on the other side.
I feel like we've reached a tipping point with everything. I think everything's just come, and I also, you know, you mentioned before about our recent results. I thought this month and towards the end of December was always going to be a critical month for Everton, with what happens if we had a few injuries, what happens if we had a few suspensions. The boys away on AFCON were always going to be a huge miss, and I think results have reflected that.
Lots to dissect then from Alan. Let's hear from the main man himself before we hear from this main man in the studio with us. Here's what the manager, David Moyes, had to say.
David, good morning. Four changes for your team today. Obviously, we were expecting a couple of them with the suspensions, but it looks like you've had another one forced on you. Tim Erigbunam isn't in the squad today. Can you tell us what happened?
He's just got a slight injury at the moment, so he wasn't available to play.
Paper-thin squad today. On the bench, you've got a lot of young players, giving Malik Oliwola, a 17-year-old, an opportunity on the bench today as well. Are you confident that should they be needed, the young players are ready?
Well, it's a brilliant opportunity for them. I think any young player who gets a chance to be in the bench in a cup tie will be thrilled to get it. So you never know. They're very young, these boys we're talking about, and really inexperienced. But you never know.
Got to give them a go to find out. In terms of confidence, obviously disappointing couple of results in the last two home games that you've had. Obviously you've mentioned wanting a cup run, but having to balance it with the squad that you've got. But is today also about confidence, about turning the momentum as well?
Yeah, we want to get into a good momentum. To be fair, for most of the season we've been in good shape. We're having a little bit of struggle with injuries and suspensions, etc. at the moment. But look, we're not complaining anymore. We're getting on with it, and we'll see how we go.
In terms of the FA Cup, this club has a really proud history. The fans love this cup as well, and as you do as well, of course. Be the first FA Cup game that's played here at this stadium. How important is it to you, for the fans, that you set off your FA Cup life here, right?
Well, we'll do everything we possibly can. We're going to go out and try and win the game. That's what we'll do. I've got no doubt there'll be a great atmosphere. Sunderland will bring a big support as well today. So full house. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
David Moyes spoke about confidence there and the players needing to come in and assert themselves and back themselves. That's something I want to talk to you about, Jazza. You are the WBA super featherweight world champion.
Yep.
In an individual sport. You're also defending the belt soon. Is that right? Yep. Where's that?
I'll be fighting in Dublin. I'm fighting Antoine Kakati on Paddy's weekend in Dublin, so I'm excited.
Oh my God.
As you say there about the mentality, it's often find like we've got a lot of pressure on us right now as the team, but it's not also the low times are low, the high times are high, but them just times in between, and you got to be focused in them times, you know what I mean? And it's not always about, as we were saying before, how the sports performance, a little bit of art doesn't go amiss, and I think a few people have got an opportunity to show that today.
Is that something you have to consciously draw on? Like, I know from my amateur experience, sometimes you turn up to Monday night footy playing five-a-side and you just feel up for it and you just score a few goals and all your passes go right, and other times you go and it feels like I've got the boots on the wrong feet and I can't, as an amateur, get my head around why. Do you feel that as an elite athlete and you've got to consciously do whatever it may be, maybe positive affirmations, maybe just go for a run and clear your head, or is there specific things you do to try and make sure you're always at 100%? Yeah,
I'll have a few little things. I'll never speak as a footballer, no, because I can speak as a boxer. Yeah, I have them. You'll have lows, you just have to stay consistent, you know what I mean? They are saying motivation, it's not important, it's about being consistent and turning up whenever you can, just giving it 100%. 100% is all you got in it, really, so like, that's what I think.
So when I'm saying I've turned up and had a pizza for my lunch and I'm feeling sluggish,
yeah,
that's the wrong attitude. That's obviously not elite athlete mentality. But you're talking about my base is too low. And sometimes I'm up here and sometimes I'm down here. You want your bottom to be good enough all of the time, so the consistency level is always there.
Of course, and I don't think that when you say a certain diet fits any sort of footballer, a certain diet, set diet, not one size fits all. Everyone is individual. I know it's hard in a sport, in a team, that can be very hard, can't it? But I think that players should know what they need individually to bring the most out of themselves, you know. Whether that be the diet, some fighters might switch, or players might switch off a certain way, you know what I mean? I think that you deserve a little bit of your own time too. But it's hard in it as a team. One of the best teams, you know, in the Premier League.
Yeah, we're big Everton fans. We want them to do well. Is you as a team sport professional athlete, Alan? Yeah. It's a different psychological experience from a sports psychology point of view, where Jazza, for you, it's all on what you do, and there's a hell of a lot of pressure. Yeah. There's still a hell of a lot of pressure on you, but for different reasons, because you don't want to let your teammates down. There is also sometimes, I think, looking at it from the outside, perhaps a potential to coast if you aren't a professional footballer who steps up and wants the ball and asks for the ball. You can be a bit of a passenger in the team. Would you say that that's fair, whereas you would get knocked out if you did that?
Listen, I've got to be honest. We've got a mutual friend in terms of Tony Bellew, and I think boxers' mentality is second to none. I think it's just another level from everything. You know, I've been in a camp with Tony in terms of where when he's been doing individual training, and it blew me away. It really did. It shocked me how much these guys push themselves. You know, we as football players, we get, you know, sports science, and we get a level of attention that is beyond belief. But these guys, you know, their mentality to go at it day in and day out in terms of their camps is like their professionalism in terms of getting ready. Because more often than not, Jazzy, your team will be probably very small.
Yeah, of course.
You know, they'll have it. You know, in terms of sports science, there's probably 30 employees at Everton.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at it, and this is a tunnel vision, I think. You know, in terms of I hats off. You know, you look at what will your camp be? You know, when will you start your camp for your next fight?
I'll go to camp for 8 weeks. My next fight, I'll go away from my family. Won't speak to my kids for 8 weeks. Won't see them for maybe 9 weeks or something like that. But that being said, though, on the opposite side to that, we're world class at being selfish. I couldn't sit there and watch a man not pulling his own weight. You're carrying other players through, so you can be world class at being selfless. There's dynamics to both
where it's hard in different ways.
It is. I've got to be honest. I have to take my hat off. I've said it before in terms of to these guys. You know, to go in a ring and face someone face to face is, I know you've obviously been brought up that way and it becomes normal to you, but I tell you what, you know, no matter how the difference in our size now, would I get in the ring with this guy? Not a chance.
Likewise, likewise, I'm going out there in a minute and I am.
You don't want to go with the crossbar challenge when you go.
I'm not going nowhere near a ball, you know.
Have they got you the new kit? When you go out? No. Oh, we'll have to get that sorted out for you. You can see me and Stubbsy are rocking our new 4th kits, which I love the pink kits. I'm going to be honest with you. When I was a kid, I always had the dark navy blue ones or the black ones with the pink on. It reminds me of Tim Cahill. You can see up on the screen, Tarky and O'Brien modelling them absolutely beautifully. There's another, it just looks so good, doesn't it? I really like it.
It is sharp, to be fair.
It's different.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I don't know whether me and you are carrying off as good as them two.
Maybe
Andy.
not. Maybe not.
No,
I mean,
we have to breathe in there. You know, but yeah.
That's some good kits over the years, haven't we?
Yeah, we have had some
Remember the yellow and blue stripy one and the Arvala like that back in the day?
Yeah, I do remember that. That was Umbro, I think, at the time. I'm not too sure
Danker,
whether it was.
Danker sponsor?
Yeah, Danker was a sponsor, yeah. I think it was Umbro as well.
Look at the training gear as well. I actually really like it, you know. It's got the accents of the pink, whereas this is solid navy and it's elite material because we were talking about sports science. It's all going crazy now. I like that one. I think I could get involved with a training.
When did pink come in now? During your time, was it?
I think it was maybe just, well, I think there was in my time. You've made me feel really old then, Jazz, in my time. But yeah, I think
black and white, Jazz.
I think when you look at it, just getting a few waves from a few boys behind us there. I think when you look at, in terms of the amount of participation that now is in sport, you know, you look at even boxing, women now in boxing, you know, amount of women that and young children that we see coming to games now. It's becoming, you know, a real inclusive sport in terms of, you know, we have young, old, male, female. So you have to provide, because you know how many female and male fans now are going to be buying this kit? Thousands.
Yeah,
which is great.
It's class, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
I really like it. Someone who has stepped up recently for Everton and is making his second Premier League start. Not Premier League start, he made his first Premier League start, he's making his second Everton start. Back-to-back games. Harrison Armstrong. He made a huge impact and we are very lucky to be able to hear from him now. And we're also going to say goodbye to Jazza, who's going to go and watch the game out there and hopefully get hooked up with one of the new kits. Here's a clip of what Harrison had to say.
Well, Harrison, welcome back to Everton. How does it feel to be back at Finch Farm?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, it was a quick turnaround from being told I was coming back and obviously training at Preston, but now I've enjoyed it. It's certainly part of the experience of going out on loan, and yeah, it's been good.
And on that loan at Preston, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was really good. I learnt a lot. I've been fortunate to be at 2 really good clubs on loan so far in a short time that have taught me a lot, and Preston was definitely somewhere where I thought I really showed what I was capable of. I certainly think there's definitely more to my game to improve on and to show people, but no, I really enjoyed it there. The fans and the people there really took to me.
And you're certainly impressed with Preston, but what do you think you learnt most over there?
I think it's just obviously I was playing at one end of the table, obviously with Derby, and then to go to Preston and sort of be in and around playoffs, completely different. It's completely new challenges every game. There's a new pressure on you to sort of be on the ball more, and yeah, you just have to mature more when you're sort of in a different environment, and I certainly think I've done so.
And you mentioned those two spells, both with Derby and with Preston. How much do you think you've grown as a player? Because it seems like you've come on a long way.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, you're sort of thrown in the deep end as soon as you go away there. Even in training, you're tested by the lads. They want to see what you're made of, and yeah, it's brought challenges that I haven't had as yet in my career. So I think I've matured both on and off the pitch. It's allowed me to sort of see different aspects of my game and see where I can improve, and each game's obviously a different test against some really good opposition. So I certainly think from both of the spells that I've definitely come on as a player, and I'm just hoping that progress continues.
Looking at 2025, it was a positive year for the club. The new owners brought stability in the new stadium, bringing a lot of new possibilities as well. For you as a young player, does this feel like an exciting place to be?
Definitely, yeah. I think you can see with the changes at the club that the way the club's going. I think it's definitely a project that people are starting to look at and, you know, starting to appreciate a lot more. I think the club is definitely going in the right direction, and I think what the fans are doing, the people at the club and the players, they certainly need to keep that up, because yeah, I think the club's back to, well, certainly on track back to where it needs to be.
I am very excited to see another young Liverpool lad coming through into the team. I would love to see him go back to Preston and keep getting all that experience that he's just talked about.
Yeah.
But also, I would also love it for him to absolutely smash it for a few games and then just stay here and keep playing. What do you think's best for his development?
What's best for his development is that he keeps playing.
Sure.
So I think that's the easy answer to that.
Yeah.
And I think he's got to keep learning. And obviously he's had a very positive experience at Preston, which is really important. You know, you've got to remember he's still only 18 years old.
He doesn't look 18 on the ball, does he? It's absolutely crazy.
Look at him on terms of his presence on the pitch as well, not just his height, but he's doing remarkably well.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really important. These few games here that he's playing in, same again, it's all part of his journey. It's great for his development. Mm-hmm. You know, and in an ideal world, I think we would see him maybe go back to Preston at the very end of the window. Yeah. Once everything's
hopefully Dewsbury Hall's back, and realistically he's
in a much healthier
choice.
position. Yeah. And then he carries on the end of the season, and he comes back, and then he has a pre-season with ourselves, and then he's part of the team.
He's an asset for the club.
He's got a bright future.
Yeah.
He's got a very bright future. I've been impressed by him. Very impressed.
It's exciting.
It is. You know.
He just looks so. It sounds stupid because he's professional, but he looks so comfortable and so good at football. Like you see some footballers look like they've got an extra second or half a second on the ball, and he looks like one of them. And then he also whips out a Trevella cross, and you think, Christ, this guy's got a bit about him.
It's youth.
Yeah.
Not scared of anything.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me is that obviously he's a talented lad. There's no doubt about that. It's the way he carries himself. You know, I think he you know, when
I think he's got that mindset that we've just been talking to.
I thought I think looking at him, he knows he belongs on that stage. That's really important to have that self-belief. And also, but having that self-belief, you've got to be able to back it up. Mm-hmm. And I think he's showing signs of really doing that. And we're seeing a really, really start of a potential young talented talented football career here, and it can only get better. Yeah. And I think that's why we've got to manage him properly.
We've got a good spine of the team.
Yeah, we have.
Jake O'Brien's moved to centre-back today.
Yeah.
Realistically, him and Jared Branthwaite can be the future of the football club at centre-back. We've got James Garner, is pretty young himself. We've got Dibbling. We've got Harrison Armstrong. Tieno Barry's not particularly old. We are hopefully building a good squad that is going to keep growing and growing and growing as we get the new stadium and the club grows and new opportunities, as Harrison Armstrong just spoke about, come. One thing that's not at the stadium today, Alan, is VAR.
Fantastic. That's the best thing you've said, Andy, since you started.
With it being the third round of the FA Cup, it doesn't come in until the fifth round.
Okay.
I think that's just to do with some of the clubs that are in the competition still. They don't have the
they don't have that
cameras
facility
and stuff like that. So no VAR, no semi-automated offside, which is a bit of a throwback to
breath of fresh air. Isn't it?
All the times, because we can't come on the show after the last game and not talk about the fact that Michael Keane is banned for 3 games and Jack Grealish is currently banned for 1. I think let's start with Jack Grealish, and I'll tell you what I think, and then you can tell me as a professional footballer if you agree. I agree with David Moyes that Grealish was silly and he shouldn't have done it. It was not the way to act when you're already on a yellow card, and he's got no sympathy with him for getting a second yellow. I think that's absolutely fair enough. However, I personally would love football. I wouldn't have an issue with football being refereed like rugby, where they have so much respect for the referees, but it's got to be applied consistently across all of the games and across every minute. You can't have people shouting at the ref and not getting booked 1 minute, and then Grealish does something and he gets booked the minute after. Like, I seen, not to dob our own players in, I seen McNeil shout at the linesman because the linesman got the direction of a throw-in wrong. I wouldn't have an issue if they said, you're not allowed to do that, you will get booked, and everyone just stopped doing it. But whilst they're still letting some players get away with it, we've seen Joe Linton got booked for diving and went mental at the referee. Did he get a second yellow card for dissent? No. So it's the inconsistency. We, as a player, you get annoyed, don't you? You shout occasionally, but you've got to...
Oh, listen, I got quite irate at times when I was playing, but I think there was a level of respect there. I think there was obviously certain referees that you knew you could maybe have a bit of banter, have a bit of, where you could maybe a bit of leniency.
Sure.
And then you had some where you knew that, you weren't able to get away with that.
If they said they wanted to be like rugby, would you say yes?
I'm all for it. I think it's great, because basically what it would do is if a player did think about swearing or speaking in the wrong way to the referee, it's there for everyone to listen to. So you have no complaints, and the players got no complaints. So I think we are getting towards that. It might not be probably quick, but I think, did we ever see referees speaking to the stadium?
That's a good step, to be fair. To give them the credit.
I wouldn't have thought we would. So we are, I think, starting to become more aligned to the way rugby officiate their games. So I think that's a good thing. But going back, I agree. Jack will be disappointed with himself. Because of, but it's emotion. It's an emotional game.
You can't complain about it because he's correcting the rules.
He has
it's
no
just
complaints whatsoever. And we can't even sit here and try and argue for Jack.
Because it
was silly. He got caught up in emotion, and unfortunately he paid the price for it.
At least that's only a 1-game ban. Though. Michael Keane, as we get ready for the teams to come out, we can quickly go over that one. The manager was furious, and you can see some clips on the screen as well of Michael Keane, what he did, what the ref did. He went to VAR. I think, again, I'll tell you what I think, and then you can see whether you agree with it from a professional point of view. You've interacted with referees in your career. I get it gives me it seems like the ref's a bit inexperienced. Especially with the Jack Grealish one. I think a more experienced ref would stop the game and go and say to Jack, listen, I should have just sent you off, but a second yellow card is not the same as a first yellow card. Calm down, otherwise you're going to get sent off. And I think this moment when the VAR sent him to VAR was that tipping point. I think he did really well in the first half, and they gave him a horrible decision to make. And when... I don't think VAR needs to get involved. When Keane did it, it was silly, but I don't think, as the manager said, it's violent conduct. I think it's ridiculous that he's been banned for 3 games. Would you agree?
I agree. I think when you look at the Jack Grealish one, I think the referee could have easily gone to James Tarkowski and gone, listen, get a grip of Jack. If he speaks like that again, he's getting a yellow card. Done. Sorted. Experience. Calm the situation down. Jack then knows the red card is a tricky one. In that he's gone to the letter of the law. And I'm going to read because I know the players are coming out
here
now.
We come, here's the siren.
and obviously Keane's grabbed his ear. Did he mean it? Obviously, I don't think he has. Is it a 3-game ban? 100% not. Is it 1-game ban? Yes. It's not violent contact.
This game that we've got now, The teams are ready to come out. We are very excited for the third round of the FA Cup. As we go across to the player walk-on, Zed Cars is blasting. I'm going to hand you over to our exclusive commentary team. If you want to go and watch that, you know where to find it. Me and Alan will be back at half-time and full-time. Here come the players. I'll hand you over to Darren.